Hi, Mr. Writers. Let's talk about clues, evidence, and red herrings. Because that's how you lead your reader down the mystery path. The reader's path is your detective's discovery path. So when you write a mystery, you set up a trail for the detective to follow until they discover the killer. And the process is similar no matter what subgenre you write: traditional mystery, cozy, crime, police procedural, private investigator. That trail leads your readers into the mystery and keeps them turning pages, and that's what we want as writers. Um, Along the trail, your detective protagonist discovers clues that eventually lead him and the reader to reveal the perpetrator. And as a writer, to plant these clues successfully, understand the difference between clues, evidence, and red herrings. You'll be tucking these items in among the scenes in your storylines, and sometimes you want them to be evident, right? And you want them to be evident to the detective and evident to the reader. And other times you want to hide them. And understanding what they are and how they work helps you construct a tight story that keeps readers guessing. That's what we want. We want them to feel like they're going to discover that killer before your detective does, but we want to keep it a secret until the end. I know it's a big balance. So first, let's look at clues. What's a clue in a mystery? A clue is anything that points the detective toward the killer. Um, as a writer constructing your story, you have endless possibilities to plant and hide clues in your storyline. And as you outline your story and brainstorm ideas for what clues will lead your detective on that path towards solving the puzzle. So here's some ideas to get you started. Physical items the victim left behind: letters, notes, notebooks, keepsake, ticket stubs, email, text messages, anything that victim left behind is a possible clue, and you get to figure out what those physical things might be. And then dialogue with suspects. You also can plant lots of clues in dialogue. Um, and that includes things like voicemail recordings, conversations with a detective, overheard conversations, dialogue with the detective's opponent or the love interest. Anyone can bring up a clue that points your detective and your reader toward that villain, because even hearsay and gossip can contain grains of truth. So it's a lot of fun to play with your dialogue and hide your clues in there. And another way that you can present clues is background. And this has a lot to do with the discovery process. So it's like cultural paradigms in the victim's world. And they make sense within that world, but they may be completely incomprehensible to someone outside that world. That's why often the first half of your mystery is the detective discovering that victim's world so they can understand what the cultural paradigms are. Um, when the victim is part of a specialized world, your detective may need to know about that world in order to fit those pieces together and have them make sense. Think of Dick Francis and horse racing, but it could be anything. It could be anything from crime, gambling, underworld, to flower shows, to dog breeding, or sculling, or deep water diving, or a spiritual cult, or you get the idea. It's that internal culture that your detective has to discover, and the clues aren't going to make sense until your detective understands that cultural world. So clues are anything the detective learns that point them toward resolving the mystery. And so let's talk a little bit about evidence as clues. Evidence is a word borrowed from logic that defines facts or information that can prove a proposition. In the world of crime, evidence comprises facts and physical details that can be used in court. Evidence can be examined, hearsay can't. So in the realm of the mystery writer, evidence is part of the physical clues the detective can use to determine the killer. So in the modern world of forensic science, evidence can be scientific and very detailed. And for the mystery writer, using physical evidence as clues, you'll need to do research to understand how evidence is observed, collected, and used. So start by understanding how law enforcement works by reading or taking a course. A great place to start is Writer's Detective here on Facebook. And there's a website with information tailored for writers. And if you want to learn more about forensic science, you can start with the University of Strathclyde's free Introduction to Forensic Science. It's a great course. It'll really help you understand a lot of the things that go into forensic science. And actually, in the course, you have to decide whether someone is guilty or not based on the forensic evidence. It's a really interesting course. So if you use evidence as clues in your mystery, be sure to get the science details right. That's very important. Readers who know will be critical of your story or even stop reading if you guess or get it wrong. So evidence is very detailed, and you need to get it right. So then there are red herrings. Okay. In a mystery, a red herring is something that seems like a clue, but it isn't. And it may be a false statement by one of the characters or a notation in a journal that really has no relevance to the murder. It can feel like it's relevant, but then it turns out that it's not. So, red herrings are false clues. That's how it works. Just a bit of history. The term red herring comes from hunting hound training in the mid-18th century. And they use smoked herring, which turns red as it is smoked. And it was used to distract the dogs while they were learning to track a scent. And so that's what it was. The dog got off the scent trail because he followed the scent of the red herring, that smoked herring. And it's the same thing in your mystery. It smells really good. It smells like a clue, but it's not. Okay, so that's how red herrings work. The other thing I want to say about red herrings is you use them sparingly. It's fun to have one or two, but I'd keep it at that. Otherwise, your readers are going to feel like you're tricking them. So you don't want that to happen. So one or two are fine. More than that, it's going to feel like you as the writer are trying to trick the reader. Oh, I presented this clue, but oh, it's not really a clue. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. And remember, the readers are there to try to solve the puzzle before your sleuth does. That's the whole idea of why they're there. So just be careful with red herrings. Don't do a lot of them. Readers who feel cheated and tricked can put down your book, and they can also write bad reviews. So just be careful. So you want to plant your clues in your mystery. Readers love solving the mystery along with the detective. That is really a primary motivation for most mystery readers. And the clues, evidence, and red herrings you scatter throughout your story engage the readers in the story. They go, ooh, a clue. And, if you're doing it well and you hide clues, it can be there, but the reader misses it because you've pointed them in a different direction. If you outline or plan your story before you start writing, you'll be a step ahead of the game by including the clues and red herrings in that story outline, so you know where they show up, and as you make your scene notes, you include the clues. So string them out throughout the story. You want to keep adding clues that point toward that villain. Okay. Important clue may be, however important a clue may be. How can I say this? Okay, let me rethink this again. However important a clue may be, you want to handle it with delicacy and avoid a blinking neon sign that says, "This is a clue, this is a clue." And at the same time, you don't make your clue so obscure that the reader will miss it completely. You've done your job. When you get to the end, the villain is revealed, and the reader said, "I should have noticed that." So plant your clues subtly, and your readers will love you for telling a good mystery. Okay, that's it for today. I hope that helps. Please, if you have any questions about mysteries, if you have any questions about mysteries, yes, please add them in the discussion. But for today, please, if you have questions about using clues, using evidence, and creating red herrings, be sure to put them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer your questions. All right, thank you very much. Keep writing, and I will see you next time.